My scripted speech is over the poem Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. This poem is placed in the time when America and the British were at war. Paul Revere is instructed to warn the people if he sees one or two lights in the tower. One light means the British are coming by land, two by sea. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere on the 18th of April in '75. Hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, if the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church tower as a signal of light. One if by land, and two if by sea. And I, on the opposite shore, will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm, for the country folk to be up and to arm. Then he said, good night, and with muffled oar silently rowed to the Charleston shore, just as the moon rose over the bay, where swinging wide at her moorings lay the Somerset British man-of-war, a phantom ship which each mast and spar across the moon like a prison bar, and a huge black hulk that was magnified by its own reflection in the tide. Meanwhile, his friend, through alley and street, wonders and watches with eager ears, till in the silence around him he hears the muster of men at the barrack door, the sounds of arms and the tramp of feet, and the measured trend of the grenadiers marching down their boats in the shore. Then he climbed the tower of Old North Church by the wooden stairs with stealthy trend to the belfry chamber overhead, and startled the pigeons from their perch on the sombre rafters that round him made masses and moving shapes of shade by the trembling ladder, steep and tall, to the highest window in the wall, where he pauses to listen and to look. A moment on the roofs of the town, and the moonlight flowing over all. Beneath, in the churchyard, lay the dead, in their night encamped on the hill, wrapped in the silence so deep and still that he could hear, like a sentinel's tread, in the watchful night window as it went, creeping along from tent to tent, and seeming to whisper, all is well. A moment only he feels the spell of the place and the hour and the secret dread of the lonely belfry and the dead. For suddenly all his thoughts are bent on a shadowy something far away, where the river widens to meet the bay, a line of black that bends and floats on the rising tide like a bridge of boats. Meanwhile, impatient to mount and ride, booted and spurred, with heavy stride, on the opposite shore walked Paul Revere. Now he patted his horse's side, now gazed at the landscape far and near, then impetuous stamped the earth, and turned and tightened his saddle's girth. But mostly he watched with eager search the belfry tower of the Old North Church as it rose above the graves on the hill, lonely in spectacle and sovereign and still. And lo, as he looks on the belfry's height, a glimmer in the gleam of light, He springs to the saddle. This bridle he turns, but lingers and gazes till full on his sight a second lamp in the belfry burns. A hurry of hoofs in a village street, a shape in the moonlight, a bulk in the dark, and beneath, from the pebbles, in passing a spark, shirk out by a steed flying fearless and fleet. That was all, and yet, through the gleam and the light, the fate of the nation was riding in the night.